Welcome back to some professional StarCraft 2, the finals of Cheesadelphia 11. The biggest Cheesadelphia yet. I think about $15,000 of prizes on the line, one of the highest for any non-WCS events. And we have a North America versus Europe finals in the great city of Philadelphia. And this time Cheesadelphia is actually in Philadelphia. I've been thrown off before. It's been in other places, and I didn't realize because false advertising. Let's start over here. The Dutch Terran player, known for his tweets and actions against the people he beats. One of the strongest Terrans in Europe, coming here to claim some glory. It is uThermal. Going under easy for Netherlands, thermostat, or stat, or however you say it in European. In the top left, the American protoss player. He's won 2 Cheesadelphias. He's going for the three-peat from the great state of New York, sponsored by Ting. It is Neeb. The first foreign player, rather, to win a tournament on Korean soil since about 2001, a couple years ago. The best player in the United States of America here to take even more dirty esports money from less accomplished nerds. Neeb, known for his macro, his defensive plays. He's a player you can copy a lot of builds from. uThermal, on the other hand, is a bit more of a wild card, is a way to put it. Ooh, losing that first adept. Bit of a mistake there out of Neeb. That really is unnecessary and unexpected. But uThermal definitely is a player who will get tilted and mix in some proxy racks. He'll throw in some cheeses. He's big on timing attacks. He can also play a later game. Oh my god, Neeb. Just as I say, Neeb, you're a solid, safe macro player. Boom, Dark Shrine. Dark Shrine. Whoa, Neeb, wait, whoa! Okay, he's gotta wipe off his controller for that adept micro. Oh, we do have a best of 7. Thank you, Jimmy, for these finals. A multi-day event. Shout out to Joe, who puts all these on. And the amount of work it takes to put on a StarCraft event of this scale, any event of this scale. I don't care if it's like a book club. It's a ton of work, and not a lot of credit is given. And any amount of credit isn't enough. Like putting on an independent event that is somewhat outside of WCS, even though some of them gave WCS points. Credit again to Joe. And we'll try to put some links below in the description, which you can unlock by liking and subscribing and ringing the bell. And yes, I am just staring at this pylon. And we'll have to see. Yes, the pylon is for warping and DTs, but guess what? There's already... it's a cyclone push. He's going to be using the fact that the high ground pylon is vulnerable. Whenever you want to box out the Reaper like this, it becomes a sticking point, essentially. Has uThermal seen anything? Oh, not yet. The fact there's only 2 stalkers is real suspicious right now, though. In comes Neeb. uThermal doesn't realize. Gonna get into the main, but at the same time, Neeb is losing so many probes. A defensive Dark Templar is warped in. There is a scan. He's gonna work on it. The Stalker's doing their best. 12 probes have already gone down. But that means SCVs are going to be sliced and diced. There's one more scan. He can maybe work on this at the main. But Neeb is losing a lot back at home. He's at 35 probes. Another scan on the DT at the natural. That's the last scan for now. Another DT in the main is actually locked in. The Dark Templar warped him back at home. Neeb going to be able to block this out for now. The drop, though. In comes a Zealot. Going to try to box out. Another Zealot going to be warped in. Is there a scan? Where does he use it? 14 probes have been taken down, 15 SCVs. And remember, scans are required, which means less mules. uThermal building stim. Oh, Neeb picks the right one. Building stim and combat shield at the same time. The problem is, he doesn't actually have any anti-air to stop this drop from continuing. 39 workers, and Neeb just continually building those probes. uThermal's kind of leaning into an all-in. Now there goes another Dark Templar. They don't have any sort of blink or anything like that. You can't afford that this early on. Awesome. I apologize. I'm allergic to such cheesy bullshit, Neeb. This is a good strat for many reasons, though, I feel. What Neeb is doing. One, it's game one of a best of 7 against anyone. This is when maybe you try to get your, what some might consider, a cheap win. But, also, uThermal is a player who is well known for tilting so hard a pinball machine would lock him down. He is a player who... He's a very emotional player. Let's put it that way. And if Neeb ends up winning with a DT build, which is still on the table for sure here, considering the worker count, the fact that Dark Templar are still a threat, it's not like he was able to go for a Raven or something, then I like the choice. Okay, Neeb. Making a little bit, I mean, he reacted in time this time, but losing those first adepts. I'm not inspired with confidence by Neeb's kind of lack of control. A little sloppy across the board, but oh, the DT coming in. Gets a slice. You gotta be real careful with that prism. I like Neeb taking the Florencio expand. Stim is done. Okay. The quadruple drop, the Dark Templar Observer is going to spot this. I like this choice. When you have DTs, you want to force your opponent to make hard decisions. Or just, it's unlikely after losing so much earlier on that this was going to be spotted. The drop heads towards the main. Neeb going to move to intercept. The Templar Archives isn't going to make it. There is a War Prism. The charge lots. A feedback comes through. The Dark Templar are going to slice. There is Stim. Combat Shield. Feedback going to help, but there's still so much Terran. He's working his way through. Suddenly, uThermal more than enough. The American protoss. Gunned down. And, well, alright. We'll take it off the board. The DT build didn't end up working as well as he hoped. Honestly, getting hit. uThermal with a great build choice. I think it was a great... a lot of players have kind of skipped the Reaper, right? They've skipped the Reaper because Protosses will go to great lengths, committing their first pylon, a gateway, a cybernetics core, all in the name of walling off. Against that first Reaper. So a lot of Terrans are just like, screw it. I'm going to go for this early Cyclone push or something to take advantage of that. And I think even though Neeb did a lot of economic damage, the problem with Dark Templar is once they're countered or once the amount, like there's a critical mass of units, they're so expensive, it's hard to get another tech path going. And that was the issue for Neeb. Like, you're not going to get your Dark Templar and then your High Templar. This isn't some kumbaya, Shakuras and Ire situation. The next game. Jimmy. This is not time for Christmas. This is time for esports. Let's get into the game. All right. Thermostat. I'm gonna butcher the Dutch, but Dutch is just butchered German. Essentially, that's what I've heard from some Dutch casters that I'm paraphrasing. And also, they didn't say that. I just say that to trigger them. But simulacrum. We've already been over this. I've googled this multiple times. Oh, like I mentioned, uThermal. Not a man who shies away from proxy racks, even against protoss. Now, this isn't just going to be proxy Reaper. Is this going to be proxy Marauder? Is Neeb going to look for it? He's sending the probe directly across. Pretty early on, but what does he do to react to this as well? Like, the thing is, well, he's going to get in. He's going to see the gas timing. The gas timing is big. This might be 2 racks Reaper, but this is a straight up, I'm going to build Marine situation. He's taken a TVZ cheese. He's like, all right, TVP it is. Here comes Neeb. He sees it. He's going to see a singular gas. Slap down a pylon. I'm surprised he's committing that pylon down there, but he will build a Zealot, and he will build a Cyber Core. He's scouring the main, because there still might be a hidden base. He's about to find it. He sees an SCV. Where did that come from? A little suspicious, at the very least. What I don't think he's going to expect... Well, did the gas timing give enough away? Like, probes are pulled. There's going to be 1 Marine. Now Neeb knows exactly what this is. The first Zealot isn't finished yet. You rarely see probe on Marine in this sort of micro scenario. The SCV is slacking on the job. The probe micro! The probe gets the kill. Gets killed in turn. But a Zealot, Neeb with a very measured response to this so far. I'm not sure if that's going to work out in the long run, as you really need to just shut this down. Like, I wouldn't have minded if Neeb just continually pulls the probes and makes sure this does not do anything. Because he knows back at home, all uThermal has is a slowly building factory. There's going to be 2 shield batteries. The probes remain pulled. The shield batteries don't have much HP. Neither do the probes, of course. But once they're done, that gives Neeb a lot more power to hold this position. Drops back. Re-shield. Stalkers are finishing. Another Zealot just makes its way back home to the shield batteries. 1 Zealot going to be targeted down. A little ambitious there from Neeb. More Marines coming out. uThermal opting for a command center. Starting to realize that he's bitten off a little more than he can chew. Neeb with a near perfect response. Now that everything is said and done, I can do my revisionist commentary of like, you know what? That was pretty much perfect, Neeb. He lost 3 probes, but he made sure there was no infrastructure damage. Like, now he has the units out. He doesn't have a bunch of units. He didn't build too many shield batteries, but any follow-up attack is easily going to be shut down. So Neeb will be able to deny the expansion for a time, assuming the Cyclone doesn't get ridiculous damage done, which it shouldn't, especially if there are 2 Stalkers out, which can force the Cyclone to micro back. He has the 2 shield batteries, which aren't just a waste of money. They're useful later on as well. uThermal is putting together 2 more racks. He's going to be going into bio once again. Nicely done, Neeb. Showing how to do it. Doesn't lose any more than the shields. The Cyclone will box out the Stalkers for a while, but the Stalkers will do the same in turn. The Marines try to slip by. There's not much more for them to do. They're looking for probes. Any probes they get are a win. He's going to drop down the barracks as well, but the Stalker shows up to the party. He gets 1 probe, looking for 2, finds 2. That's a win. Like, because those Marines aren't doing nothing. They're already out on the map. They're not going to be able to make it home with those Stalkers blocking the way. The barracks just decides to take a nice casual flight into the main, where it will see the Stargate. Cyclone being targeted. A little ambitious there out of uThermal without the SCVs to repair, but Neeb microing back. Oh, 1 Stalker getting a little... Now, the vision is still there because of the SCVs. This is a messy fight. All right, here we go. Looks like uThermal embracing the full NA aspect of this game. There's a tank now, though, and that's going to be more than enough. With the tank involved... Wait, I spoke far too soon! The thing is, the Oracle, still, against these individual units, against Stargate early on, definitely not a bad choice and a bad tool for defense. So Neeb already getting a robotics facility. I think he's intentionally trying to hide it from the barracks. He doesn't want to give him any more information than he's already given out. Couple more gateways. A second Oracle. Maybe we'll go to a third. Oh, wait. Is that a third? No, that's a second Oracle. Neeb, a big fan of those Oracles. They're definitely a tool for players who can, well, make active use of them. Like your Diamond League heroes making 2 Oracles, banking 1,400 minerals, being supply blocked are not the same as Neeb, who already has a 10-worker lead, working on a third, and is constantly microing his stalkers. The only unit Neeb has lost has been a single zealot. 5 probes have gone down. Now, it's just Marines out of uThermal. Oh! Those silly Oracles come in again. Losing an Oracle would hurt. Like, he invested a lot of money into that. Down goes the barracks. I believe it saw the robo. Yes. A robotics bay is on the way. 3 tanks. uThermal lining up for what could be a solid 2 base timing. He does have stim done? Stim done. Combat shield should start in a moment. Is there a starport? Oh, wait a second. He is all in. Where are the boys? Where are the boys? I'm surprised he's not pulling the boys with this. Well, this is spotted, and it has a very good chance of shutting down the third for now. If Neeb tries to defend it, if he tries to die on this hill, that is a big risk. That's 4 tanks right there. Neeb spots all of this. So, are there any scans? Remember, there's no starport. So, without the starport, he's stuck on these ground units. But Neeb waiting for his opportunity. And there's no way to see these stalkers sneaking in from the back of the vision blocker. Neeb is chrono boosting out a Colossus. Yes, those 2 shield batteries now going to come into use. Here comes Neeb from every angle. Guns down. The Oracles does uThermal. The Zealots trying to box out for as long as they can. The tanks backing off. Going to work on their single target action. More reinforcements on the way. The flank tank. And suddenly, Neeb drops to 62 supply, warps in a few more stalkers. The Colossus is going to be a huge part of this. He maintains the Immortal, does not have another Guardian shield. The shield batteries have been drained a little, but still have energy. The third base is intact. uThermal's going for the kill with this right now. He's adding on a third command center behind, but he still needs to put on as much pressure as possible because Neeb cannot be allowed to build a bunch. Oh my god, these Marines so badly bruised. Don't do drugs, kids. The probes have to be pulled yet again. The stalkers chased down. The probes slaughtered. Neeb struggling against this tank positioning. Every Marine, there's no healing coming. That's permanent damage. A second Colossus, a Warp Prism could be an important part of this. Combat Shield's about to finish, which will relieve some of that drug addiction, but Neeb has lost a lot of probes. He can't act. His bases are isolated. His third base could be taken out by just Marines, potentially, but uThermal doesn't want to take the risk here. And Immortal will lead the charge. Here come the Marines from the back. The tanks shelling. Will they target fire the Colossi? They are now. Ignoring the Zealots. 1 Colossus just barely survives because the vision wasn't there because he doesn't have any air units. But the Warp Prism comes out. The mobility, very important. Don't type in there. The Warp Prism gives a whole lot of options, but uThermal has whittled down the probe count. He now has his very own starport. Oh, more probes. He's trying to save them. Suddenly, the Terran player has the worker lead. Another pylon goes down. He's not going to be supply blocked. He made plenty of those. But the tanks, is it time to back off? What a choice. An incredible choice. A very hard to make one as well. Will Neeb try to defend his third? It's too late. Neeb loses the third base. And this attack, successful. It took a while, but successful. The reinforcements, well, not the reinforcements, but the third base killing army in beautiful autumn colors, gonna be intercepted and slaughtered for their transgressions. Every single unit taken down, but there are still tanks back at home. Zealot bombs to draw tank fire. The 2 medevacs joining in here, healing up what they can. The Zealot bombs doing a good job. Tanks working their way forward. uThermal trying to hold on here. The tanks, oh, he gets one Colossus. Neeb can't micro the Colossus because the Warp Prism's actually on top of the... Wait, I'm an idiot. Never ignore what I said. Neeb gets through the tanks and the bio. I don't even understand the physics of that, but the orbital taking a lot of damage. It's going to fall. Neeb looking for the kill here. There's only one more tank. Neeb looking for revenge. There just wasn't enough bio in front. There's one Colossus, any amount of Zealots. There's nothing to really deal with all this army. There's just +1 and your normal bio upgrades here. Neeb. There's a tank on the high ground. The last stand of uThermal. He's getting... Oh, the turret! The turret gets a Colossus kill! The clutchest turret of all time. uThermal pushed back into his main. The Immortal distracted by a depot. A lot of units on the back line. It's just Tickle Beams and Stalkers. Force field on the ramp, but there's still a handful of units. He's doing whatever he can. A mule was dropped. He's expecting to actually survive this. The turret targeted. There's a single Marauder in the back. Another force field on the ramp. Neeb looks like he may have done it. The boys have to get pulled one last time. There's not enough energy for another 4. Wait, there's a tank. There's a tank. The boys. 13 SCVs going down. If he can crush this, he needs to get the Prism. He doesn't get the Prism. There's still an Immortal at the back. 13 kills. GG. Neeb takes it home. The revenge. What a hard call to make. He sacrificed the 3rd. How many players? Like, that wasn't that many Marines and Marauders. How many players would give up the 3rd? Like, it's likely he could have defended it, but it wasn't 100%. Neeb made the call. Give up the 3rd. Go for the counterattack. But an incredible... Like, the tank push... uThermal very good at those sharp timings, almost cutting through. The choice to ignore going for Starport in order to focus on getting a tank and bio push early on is a really tough one as well. Like, both players cutting as many corners as possible from the proxy Rex, remember. I doubt, since this is uThermal, this will be the last proxy Rex we see in this series. But we will have to see. Next up is Ephemeron. Neeb showing how calm he can be under pressure. uThermal still a very good game out of him, but just almost every protoss would have broken. But not Neeb. We're on Ephemeron. 1-1. All tied up. Still, both players need potentially 3 more games in order to take it. Cheesadelphia 11. XI. uThermal with a conspicuous lack of barracks outside of his base, but Neeb gonna really focus on blocking out the Reaper once again. I'm not convinced. Like, it's just kind of become a thing. Most of the meta game of the early game is, how are we going to block out the Reaper? I don't know, like, the amount of commitment to it feels like more Terran should be going for the type of build that uThermal did in Game 1, where he did the early Cyclone Marine push, and essentially did critical damage In fact, if Neeb hadn't been going for DTs, I think uThermal may have just won outright because the unit count was too damn high that early. We'll see. Oh my god. What? Oh my god. He raised the depot, Neeb! Trying to mineral lock out! Oh! Murdered! What a play!
Ladies and gentlemen,
the probe! Slaughtered! He raised the depot, so the AI of the probe was like, I'll just go this way. This is the quickest way. Last second, raise the depot. Enough time for the SCV to come in and close the distance and drill right through him before Neeb could realize what was happening. A mental victory as well. Like, when someone pulls that on you, you gotta be like... You gotta be shaking your head. You gotta be smirking a little bit. Even Neeb. There's a lot of expressions you could go through, but that is like the top two. Twilight Council on the way. I don't think we'll see another DT build out of Neeb. That was his one shot. I think this time, especially on this map with its wide cliff towards the third, I think this will... Oh, he's making a Reaper. Interesting. This will be Blink. Neeb doesn't even risk getting the Adept Trap. The Hellions will not get the Adept. There's the Blink. Now, the next question is whether he goes for a robotics facility or a third base first. How much has he been traumatized by uThermal's own? There's the Robo. So this is essentially, if you want to copy a build, this is the build to copy. Of the builds so far in these games, honestly from both sides at the moment. But mostly Neeb here. This is your safe Blink. You're going to wall off against Hellions. You're going to get that scouting info. You're going to get Blink. You're going to have a Robo as an option against things like, say, quote, Banshee. The Reaper. Oh my god, the Reaper's used for exactly this. Oh, uThermal! Move over, Shakespeare! uThermal's making the plays! That's why he built the Reaper! Oh, 7 probes, 10 probes. I think Neeb was preparing. He might have been going for his third. He defends it decently, but like... Oh, what a player. A beautiful play. Using the Reaper grenade to bounce the Stalker out of the way, targeting the probe to make sure there couldn't be like a pylon wall. And now the obligation is on Neeb to get damage done. Like, Neeb has to hold on. Well, not both hold on back at home and find an opportunity. Because you do, if a Terran player has the same amount of bases and more workers, and you're on Blink Star, that tank says no. But Neeb says yes. So no consent from that tank, but Neeb's in there anyways. He's going to lose 3 out of 6 Stalkers, but he's really focused on whittling this down. And oh no! The cloak finishes. There is an observer, but Neeb... So you can see the differing priorities of these players right now. uThermal's like, I want to get damage done. I want to get damage done to the economy, keep Neeb from getting way ahead there. Whereas Neeb focusing on the army. Now he's going for the SCVs because 3 Stalkers aren't going to do much else. These 3 Stalkers getting a surprising amount of SCVs. Like, he's racked up 7. He's matched uThermal on the other side. He got great scouting. He knows this is going to be a bio follow-up. He saw the 3rd command center, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm not mistaken. But guess what? Your probes are under attack. And yet again, another Cloak Banshee. This time, though, it's going to be shut down without too many kills, right? He's going to get 1 more kill. Neeb blunks on it. Still, though, uThermal in the driver's seat of this match. With Neeb down and workers, he does have the third, but uThermal has a third command center. He's getting his production up, not untouched, but barely slowed down by those stalkers. Like losing half a dozen SCVs but getting your third base online and getting all your production up. I'll take that trade if I'm a Terran player. And the stalkers, like the big weakness of Blink stalkers is against that level of production. Stalkers just pound for pound, mineral for mineral, and gas for gas do not stack up with Marines, Marauders, tanks, medevacs, and all those other force multiplying tactics. Neeb shift blinking into the main. A bold move. He's going to go for potentially stim. He goes for the reactor. A little bit of a crisis here. Neeb trying to figure out what he wants. Will he get stim? Yes, he does. Big deny. Still going for everything back at home. This is real damage starting to stack up. Targeting down SCVs. He's essentially saying, as long as I keep you busy, I deny these upgrades, this production. Oh, the Banshee out of energy. So Neeb, this mission, okay, that was optimistic at the very best, but the Blink Stalkers finding possibly the last opportunity to do damage. uThermal was about to set up at his third. He was going to have enough bio. It was about 10 seconds from that. That was Neeb's last chance to get into the main and, well, force uThermal to both be behind on tech and keep him in his base while he gets his third up. Look at the worker count. Now, don't look at the supply because that doesn't tell the story here. Because if you don't have stim, then this army just can't really match the charge lots unless he knows he has overwhelming force. And right now, uThermal, if you don't have the stim yet, wait, he didn't restart stim. Hey, he didn't restart stim. You gotta restart stim. He's building a second factory already, but stim is pretty. Build stim. I don't know. Like, that's actually a huge mistake here. That is really gonna hurt his potential later on. Like, he needs stim. He's gotta get stim. He's getting a lot of tanks, and against someone who's heavy on gateway units, the counter to tanks, well, there's a couple different directions you can go. You either have overwhelming gateway units with good upgrades and, like, Archons, or you go very technical, which is a whole lot of Blink, Storm, like Colossi, Disruptor. You got, like, spellcasting like you're at Hogwarts, and Neeb or his American counterpart Puck are some of the few players who will opt for that. And it looks like that's the direction he's going. I don't know if he's realized... Well, he saw the second factory. So that means Neeb knows that this is going to be a heavy tank strat. Which isn't wildly out of the ordinary. It's just you have to handle it differently than someone who's maybe going for a more mobile bio composition. So Neeb is spreading out on the map. uThermal bringing in drops from the left. I'm actually going to go to the uThermal action cam for this one. Dropping on the left side. That base is vulnerable. Restart stim. Oh my god, he just... Oh! He dropped out. He's like, oh, shit. Oh, you could see it right there. Oh, this ruined everything. That lack of stim, that stim snipe may have just kept Neeb, like, well, it definitely kept the fourth base alive. Like, sniping that... Is that 2 more factories? What? What is this, Brood War? What are you switching from bio into mech? He's like, well, if I'm not going to have stim, but... This isn't Brood War. You don't have spider mines. Very interesting he's choosing tanks over ranged liberators. Ranged liberators, usually a great option against lower tech or lower economy protoss. Like, uThermal here has the army. He could pick his opponent apart with ranged liberators. There is a fusion core on the way, but he has 4 factories. Like, what, the mechanical industrial complex might have been lobbying him far too hard. I don't know, but... Okay. I don't know if Neeb's going to be ready for, like 8 or 10 tanks. Okay, that's scary, but, like, 20 tanks is something completely different. Like, you can't even get close to those things if they're sieged out. You gotta, yeah, like, Neeb's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. wait a second, what? There's already a half dozen tanks up in the high ground. He's gonna go in towards the natural. This choke point. Oh, he jumps on a couple tanks. Neeb really looking for an opportunity here. No, my. There are tanks everywhere. Thank you very much. Neeb splits off a couple zealots. Stim finally finishes. +2 armor coming up. uThermal, he's building 2 more factories. What the hell? Neeb, what are you doing? We've seen players go up ramps into siege tanks. The storms hit. The tank's doing terrible, terrible damage. Neeb, obliterated. Terran from all sides. uThermal wipes the floor. Slams down the warp prism. Every single unit, a single Colossus goes home to tell the story of what happened here. Neeb, how many times? Neeb making the classic mistake that everyone watching this and everyone here has made before. He ran up a ramp into siege tanks. And the units lost. Oh my god. The tanks were sieged. They weren't even unsieged. Like, he's just like, well, tanks aren't that good. I have protoss units. No, Neeb! He has like 14 tanks. He has 12 tanks. How many tanks has he lost? 4. So at some point, he may have had 14 tanks, and that point will happen again. But that is not how you do it. You wait until they're unsieged, or you draw them out of position. I don't know. Either way, look at the supply. Neeb out of position here to defend his fit. The main bases are drying up. That's why this is important. And Nexi cannot lift, which is a major design flaw. Neeb really trying to catch this army out, but he's lost the initiative. He lost that maxed out army. He's struggling to get his supply up. Now, uThermal isn't maxed, but he has all those tanks. He can force Neeb into an engagement. Oh my god! Alright. One tank dies to friendly fire. Neeb is gonna go for the backstab. Now, there are very dangerous armies on either side here. Oh, pulling back. Neeb. Oh. I think more Archons are in order. The 4th base, suddenly, uThermal realizes, what, you got Colossi, Stalkers, and Templar? That's all you got, but guess what? Neeb looking to jump this. The tanks, Neeb a little disjointed with this attack. Now, the charge lots, once they close the difference, the storms will shut down uThermal. Oh my god! Oh, Neeb! Okay, uThermal, but look at the supply! Despite, wait, Jimmy, give me a forecast. Despite that, it looks like uThermal, well, he just had so much. He has so many production facilities. He's got 5 wrecks. He's got 6 factories. Who does that? Literally, though, answer me this. Besides uThermal, who does that? It's not a rhetorical question. He's still maintaining. He still had the 4th base running. Despite the fact he lost an army out on the field, he's already producing back at home. So Neeb is still on the back foot. He just gave himself a little bit more space. And remember, he lost the 4th. He lost the 4th. And that was very important. Neeb no longer, like, he can't make another mistake. 3 Thors on the way. Thor's recently buffed to have a quicker, a more usable single target anti-air attack. And Colossi are so tall, they're technically in the air. But are Thors a counter for Colossi here? Maybe he thinks Stargate is on the way? I mean, I guess they have a lot of HP. They're thick boys. But Thor's definitely a curious choice here. As uThermal, the one thing he is lacking is starport units. Hasn't built a single Liberator, I don't think so. Yeah, not a single Liberator this match. Neeb still at only 156 supply. That is a Terran army really spreading out here. uThermal's been banking money. He's on 5 bases. Neeb is 1 misstep into siege tanks from defeat. If he makes that, no, God! If he makes the same mistake again, or even some fraction of it, there's nothing left to fall back to. This bridge making things very difficult. The Thors They laugh off the storms. That tank had the wrong... They were using Apple Maps. A drop comes in. Anything that pulls Neeb's attention away gives uThermal an opportunity to jump the army. Oh, and... Oh, that is disappointing on all fronts. Obviously, both players paying very close attention to what is happening at the front. That double drop gonna really hurt for Neeb. He warps in some more Zealots, but Zealots, despite how fast they are, they don't have a ramp to jump up and hit the medevacs out of the sky. Blizzard, please. Oh, a lot of Stalkers being warped in, but that means the army's vulnerable. The Thor's pounding the Colossi into submission. Immortals, a great counter, but the Immortals close within distance of the tanks, and that's the real vulnerability. Neeb is forced back again. He's managed to pick up 5 bases, and uThermal going to back off. He's going to rotate around. Does uThermal knows about... Yeah, he knows about this base. The worker count's about even. Oh, Neeb kind of disjointed here. The Thor's blasting through. The army comes back. Great storm to start. There are more Templar in the prison. The tanks are sieged. +2 is done. A big damage upgrade. The Thor's still zoning. He's gone up to 4. I've never really seen them used as such a counter to Colossi, but it seems like they're working. The thing about this army is the lack of mobility. You can't pull back and deal with Neeb's army very easily. But at the same time, uThermal splits off. He's going to be going for the 4th. He's going to be going for the 5th. All the probes going to be slaughtered. Meanwhile, Neeb is at the natural, trying to break through. Colossi, still a prism to potentially reinforce. The tanks and Thors in a precarious position. Another army coming down. 1 base down, going for 2. Neeb, he's coming back. The tanks will siege in a great position, but Neeb going to be able to sidestep them. Meanwhile, the Stutter step back. A lot of charge lots going down. The pre-split, very good. Neeb might even be able to work through this orbital here. A planetary. uThermal realizes, I just got to get away. And he does. He gets out. It's 57 to 37 workers. That medevac flew the wrong direction. Another Thor taken down by those high-impact cannons. But the Immortals turn and blast through a couple of the Thors. Down goes to 1 storm. Neeb still down, a little in supply, but this army is incredibly dangerous. There's a lot of fierceness in an army like this. He's got the +3, +3, +1. The mech is at 2-1 and the bio's at 3-3. The scan doesn't spot the army, and he didn't expect it over here at the 5th. Well, now 4th. The storms, and he just kills the planetary. Neeb, a bold move, but it pans out. Moving that army into that position could have left it open to a flank, but uThermal didn't react. He didn't know where it was. Just for a few seconds, Neeb was off the map and out of vision, and those few seconds cost uThermal what looked to be a dominant position in this match is now a lot more tenuous. Thors and tanks and, well, everything coming together. Both players down at a precious little worker count. Neeb not going to be caught between a rock and a hard place. A handful of Marines finding a couple more probes here. This base, good luck with that. He's down to 3 or 4 Marine hit squads. I mean, they're doing well enough. He's going for the prism, the storms. He forces out a lot of storm. There's no ghosts here, though. He hasn't built a single ghost. Down goes the medevac. Neeb holding on. He's still... He doesn't have to find a way to break the tanks. It looks like this orbital burned down or was floated somewhere. I'm not sure. There's still several orbitals. This is just normal. Down goes an Archon. The storms. He dodges out. Blinks forward. I don't know about that. Neeb has a couple Colossi in the back. They're roasting the Marines. But the Thors, he's dropping the hammer. But down goes the orbital. Neeb gets out of there. Another great snipe by Neeb. uThermal just cancels, realizing I have another command center in reserve. Neeb making all the moves he needs to make. And right now, uThermal really exploiting the immobility of that more mech-heavy army. This is what happens. If you don't make Ghosts and Liberators, if you're reliant on tanks and Thors, you gotta win fights. And he hasn't been able to pick a fair fight for quite a while, as Neeb hasn't been running up his ramps into planetaries for about 10 minutes. So this means Neeb, not only has he dragged himself back in But I'd put him in the lead. uThermal, he really, like, now he's building ranged liberators. This is not a thing you want to do after the fact. That could have been the closing seal on this game. Half a dozen ranged liberators? Good luck beating that, especially with some tank support. But uThermal, his timing has slipped, and so is his SCV and base count. Neeb back up to 57 probes. A scan. I think he's looking for Stargates, to be honest, right now. Spots a Dark Shrine. Might inspire a couple more turrets. Neeb. Oh, Storm drops! Kills 11 more SCVs. 81. Wait, that's 81 probes against 58 SCVs. The units lost has drawn a lot closer to even. Neeb is feeling comfortable enough to commit a large army to potential counterattacks. Neeb consolidating. He still hasn't gone for Stargate. Without the Stargate, the ranged liberators are a real danger. Range is done now. Neeb actually has to back off, and suddenly, all the pieces are coming together. Drop coming through. uThermal, not going to work on that drop. Oh, actually gets up and gets out with one. Maybe looking for an opportunity. There's a High Templar. Oh! Sir, I'd like to fill out your customer feedback request form. I request you die. It's like, that's not the feedback I wanted. Another drop sneaking by. Neeb, no reaction yet. I think he's spotted on the minimap. The spread of units, but he still got a drop by. He's gonna lose a few more probes. I'm not sure how much a dozen or so probes is gonna matter right now. The Marines are on the run. One more Marine doing its best. Dives into the main. But the ranged liberator count is growing. This, unfortunately for uThermal, is going to be a comeback mechanic rather than a game closer. Look at the minimap. Look at the vision of Neeb. He storms the medevac out of the sky. No Terrans are allowed to pass this line. This line being, of course, the vast majority of the map. That was not the most concise graphic, but Dark Templar. A Stargate, finally, on the way for Neeb. That is the equivalent of ranged liberators. Tempest, a strong choice, but you need several of them, so I think he should be building more Stargates once he starts a fleet beacon. He agrees. 2 more Stargates and +1. I believe it's 4 +1 Tempest shots to kill a Liberator, but there is armor upgrades, which I'm not sure the math on that. The more the merrier. Just build some Tempest. uThermal is not building Vikings. I don't think he hasn't spotted the Stargates yet. Oh, the Liberators are going to siege, but the Storms! Has he been able to dodge some of the Liberator shots? Neeb still, he's buying himself time. He's the offensive defense. You don't want to give up any ground for no reason. He wants to stay right on the edge of the range and force a siege up in every step that uThermal takes. A risk. There's still a very large army with a lot of Templar. There are no ghosts. That's a whole lot of Storm if he can make use for it. Charge lot's going to close the distance. Not a single planetary over here. 2 orbitals. That means the Marines are going to have to come back and defend. But liberation is at hand. The American protoss being liberated by the Dutch Terran. That is a whole lot of Liberators. 14 Liberators. Immortals? What? Up. Okay, interesting. Not entirely sure what happened there, Neeb. Starting to realize the gravity of the situation. The Venn diagrams of freedom edging forward. There are 3 Tempests in production, but they haven't yet been delivered. Another Storm. I mean, 4 or 8 Storms later, those Thors, actually it's like 7 Storms to kill a Thor, if they just stand in there. Blinks forward. Liberators working their way in. The Tempests will show up to the party. Is it too late? Neeb is pushed back. Does not want to be on hold position. Neeb continually. 3 Tempests are not enough to solve this. In fact, the Thor is doing a pretty good job. Some of his Thor is not in high impact mode there to take those down. Oh, the Storm was just ready. Here comes uThermal, pushing all the way in. The tanks will re-siege. The double siege action. Good luck. He can't close the distance. Boxing out both sides. But what is the actual victory condition here? The thing is, if uThermal takes out the main and the natural, what does that actually accomplish? The Stargates are at the 3rd. Most of the mining is on these outlying bases. Neeb is coming across the map. He has enough army. Okay, 3 tanks on the high ground. A couple Thors. There's a whole lot of army in limbo right now. Neeb building up the Tempest count. He's up to 6. uThermal gonna match with some Vikings. A single Dark Templar making things incredibly awkward. He scans it. The turrets are coming up to help defend, but a single Zealot? uThermal can't afford to lose too many more of these workers. So Neeb is going to play around this for as long as he can. The Tempest becoming a bigger and bigger threat. He's got 7 of them. He's finishing up upgrades. He's going to force a lift. uThermal's going to pull back, meaning less units committed at the front. How do you miss a Thor with Storm? Neeb answers that question, but uThermal's down to 8 workers. He has less than he started with. The Thor's in high impact mode, but all in the red, and now they're pretty much dead. uThermal, his army is brittle. It's strong from the right angle, but almost anywhere else, it becomes incredibly vulnerable. Neeb, it's 28 minutes in. He ran up a ramp into siege tanks over half that time ago. He spent 15 minutes dragging, clawing, scratching, grabbing, poking, prodding, storming. That one of these is not like the others. And now suddenly, he's up by 80 supply. uThermal going for that mech-heavy composition, it just did not pan out. He needed to start tearing him up a lot earlier. The ranged Liberators were they were just too late. And Neeb, he played his game, but he eventually comes out on top. Look at the supply. Jimmy! Calm down. The game is too epic and the frames are dropping like we're in the middle of an earthquake. Neeb takes game number 3 just barely by that much. Once again, under siege, under attack, multiple times, but he holds. He holds. And that's what matters. He stays calm. He did make the mistake. He did run into those siege tanks. He did. But they were on the other side of the map, which gave him time to recover, and just barely he does. So, well played. Out of the American protoss again. Neeb defending North America on his home soil. uThermal coming over saying, I can take you. Maybe the only European player at Cheesadelphia, also half the finalists, so a bit disproportionate there. But a bit of a self-selecting group as well. So, next map is World of Sleepers. When we load in, will we see the SCVs? And where will they be? You know what I mean. All right, Jimmy. bring us back. In the top right is Neeb. Just so calm. Almost suspiciously calm under that pressure. The bottom left. uThermal. Just, I really wonder, like, is that something he's been practicing? What is up with the heavy factory style? Honestly, that game, if uThermal had realized his stim had gotten denied by the Stalkers earlier, there were so many opportunities. Like, Neeb was one bad break away from going the other way. But all the little things came together. And like, it's when opportunity and a little bit of luck meet. Which for Neeb was constantly staying up in uThermal's face, causing him to either make mistakes or at least stay more passive. And then uThermal going for that mech-based army. I still think ranged liberators were the play. Like, it almost felt like he was trying to prove something. But uThermal is well known as a Terran player who will have his style and stick by it despite the eventual outcome. Whether it's heavily into bio in late game TVZ. I don't have any great examples in TVT, but he has his style he likes to play, and he's going to play it almost no matter what. So Neeb with a little bit of harass. The Reaper going to go straight across. This is World of Sleepers, which is a map where you can wall off one of the angles of the Reaper. The second one is a little bit harder to get in because it's on the mineral wall side of the ramp. But this is, we haven't seen since the first game uThermal trying to take advantage of that kind of situation. He spots the Stargate. And will he actually go for a kill here? Wow, really confident Reaper micro. He's given the Adept the runaround, and he'll get out. Almost gets a probe kill. He will heal up. Oh my god. Oh, I think he actually got it, but it got bounced to the side. The timing is so hard to hit. They're like little micro maps where in order to win certain challenges, you have to bounce the Adept right as the shade completes. Because the attack animation of the Adept, like, interrupts its arm throwing the glaive. And what I'm trying to say is, the only reason I'm not able to do that, essentially, ever, is because of lag, of course. Blizzard. Come on. Come on, Blizzard. That's the only reason. Oh, wait. Neeb? Whoa, Neeb! That's a little bit of a mistake on the shade. He did get one SCV kill, but surprisingly loses that first Adept. Wait. The Reaper did not see it, but it will see the Oracle. What is there to respond to this? Reaper gets in, gonna see the follow-up gateways. Another Oracle being chrono boosted. There's a Cyclone that just completed. The Reaper finally taken out. Cyclone will easily be able to deal with the Oracle. Technically, the Oracle can kill the Cyclone if it jumps it immediately. But you don't want to risk any other damage coming in, whether it be Viking or Marine or just getting unlucky. Oh. The Viking gonna spot the probe. Neeb once again, is he gonna mine? He already mined through this fancy mineral wall. Playing it safe. And a lot of players are just lazy. The reason a lot of players don't like mineral walls, and I stand by this, is because they're lazy. The mineral walls don't take that much effort, but they take a little bit of babysitting to deal with. And taking down 2 mineral patches to get to your third is really not that difficult. But it is so difficult, we see like 80 to 90% of pro players just take a different third, saying, screw it. I'm not gonna bother with this fancy mineral wall shit. But Now, will that be a source of regret for Neeb? As the Tacti boys are on the way, a quick tank push. An Adept tries to do some sort of counter damage, keep uThermal distracted, but he needs to either recall the Oracles or look for damage to get done, because right now, uThermal is heading towards the third. That doesn't exist. Will he scan the other third? The Oracle's starting to do great counter damage. He scans towards the front. The Oracle's slaughtering SCVs. But where's the army of Neeb? Did not expect a couple Vikings on the deck. There, once again, uThermal is pushing through. The probes are pulled. He wants to get there before the bunkers come up. Is this going to be enough? There's still a lot of stalkers, but every probe dies. 19 probes to 16 SCVs to the Oracles. The pylons come back online. Immortal about to complete. Bunkers nearly completed as well. He warps in 3 Zealots. If you're gonna go before those bunkers complete, now's the time. More SCVs dying to Oracles, but they're almost out of energy. There's no stim here. It's just a straight up tank push. Neeb back up against the wall and then some. But where did this tank come from? This is what's happening. The SCVs are going home. There's still work to be done, SCVs. You need to repair that tank. The Natural is under attack. Neeb does have the third. uThermal does not know about it. If he thinks that Neeb is... Oh, wait, the SCV is drawing an Immortal and a Sentry and 2 Zealots, which is an unlikely team there, but... The siege continues, and once again, uThermal finds himself in kind of no man's land with the tank push, where he's done a lot of damage, but he just hasn't won the game. Oh, a Viking might be able to take out an Oracle. A confusing amount of protoss is on the way across the map. And it's going to show up to the party as uThermal still... Oh, the SCVs are trapped. He's got to run. The Marines are trying to get out as well. They will be slaughtered in the process. Things are starting to fall apart for the push. Neeb, these are such incredibly hard calls to make. He decided, I'm going to lose my Natural and all my probes. uThermal scans the third, and that has to be a sinking of the heart. The one tank will siege, the other 2 at the back. A couple more SCVs. Still 69 supply. Nice. Oh, the Vikings. There's only one force field. It slows him down. Even the mules. Wait, what? The mules? There's a Liberator. He's chasing this army. There's still 2 bunkers. Who's chasing who? It's unclear. The flank-on-flank action. There's some stalkers at the back. More SCVs being killed. He tries to retreat to the high ground. Might have an opportunity. He sieges up all the tanks. There's still the one Immortal. He doesn't target it on the first volley. A big mistake. There's still one more tank at the back. He needs to target the Immortal. He doesn't get the last shot off. The Vikings on the ground do pretty good damage against everything but the Zealot. They're still trying. The boys are called into battle once again. Another Viking hits the deck. It's like the Heart of the Swarm trailer if you substitute a Protoss. He's on the chase. The Viking trying its best, but some missed opportunities, and Neeb chases him down. Oh my god, Neeb. uThermal getting caught a little bit too far out. And with just a few too few units. The third base of Neeb, not only was it smart, it saved the game. Because uThermal, I think, was working off the assumption. It was 2 bases. Meanwhile, there's an Oracle in the main, but on the Immortal! 13 kills. The barrier comes online at the last possible second. A Tickle Beam will take approximately 2 more years to kill this bunker. 5 SCVs go down to the Oracle and counting. And uThermal's bleeding out here. He's running out of options. Neeb is retaking what we'll call a third. 12 more SCVs. The Viking on the ground wants to hit the probes. Is +1 armor done? Which means the Viking doesn't 2-shot probes anymore. And the chances, the time, well, its time is running out of the hourglass. GG, Neeb takes 3. Match point. Neeb, another game where he's put up against it, where he has to make the decision of, do I stay or do I go? And if I stay, it could be trouble. But if I go, it could be double. He made the call. And once again, it's 3 points for the American. That's like each one of these games. That's the thing, too. Like every one of these games, Neeb is a few tank valleys from losing. Maybe just one tank valley from losing. That is how close it is. It doesn't... These are not like, well, Neeb just kind of walked over him. No, it is 1 or 2 tank shots. Like, in that last match, uThermal really needed to target. Like, he had the opportunity to target those Immortals with the tanks. He missed a couple shots on them. And, well, that'll cost you, to say the very least. But we got to learn from professionals, and professionals in any field. You know what that means. While it's match point, you got to get all your ads in. So if you guys could pause ad block and all of that, thank you. And I will be right back after these advertisements, just in case Neeb takes the next match. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Winter, and I'm here to talk to you about Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, or your mom has Amazon Prime, or your uncle has Amazon Prime, and he's never been able to use the internet, so he just has you use his Amazon Prime to do anything, connect that Amazon Prime with Twitch, and get Twitch Prime. You can get shitty skins and stuff for games you don't care about, as well as being able to subscribe to any channel of your choice. And unlike YouTube, which if you're on right now, you should like and smash that subscribe button for absolutely free and ring the bell while you're at it, which is also free. I know those clicks are tough, and I know it's a lot to ask, but then you can unlock the description, which will have access to all of these exciting replays and all of that. But back to the first point. Twitch Prime. You can subscribe to a stream of your choice every month for free, or even mine. I get more money. Essentially, if you don't subscribe with Twitch Prime as soon as possible, you're losing money. For me. But you're losing money. And do you want to be doing that, or do you want to make the difference today? Subscribe with Twitch Prime, and your dreams will no longer be memes. Thank you. Good luck. Have fun. Don't tell your uncle. Your uncle, I mean, does he still call it, like people, my uncle called the PlayStation a Sony just because it said Sony on it, and he didn't understand the PlayStation logo. If they're like that, then just go, you know what I mean. All right. Thank you guys for sticking around. It's 3-1. Neeb on match point. uThermal. Like, this is 3-1 doesn't really describe how close these games are. It is kind of ridiculous. A great series to conclude. Cheesadelphia 11 and 2019 as well. At the very least. Let's get into it, Jimmy. In the top right. From the Netherlands. Liquid uThermal. And in the bottom left. One more time. The American protoss player. It is the best player in American history. Looking to continue that. This, if he's able to take one more match, then that's 3 Cheesadelphias. The cheesiest protoss since Florencio, who has yet to win a single Cheesadelphia. Or has he? But what an accomplishment. I mean, he's won 3 WCS championships, but 3 WCS championships, 3 Cheesadelphias. Not even all of them being in Philadelphia. So, just a world-spanning accomplishment. Has anyone ever seen Florencio and Neeb in the same place? I rest my case. That probe gets out. We'll have to see. What is uThermal like? It's on the line here. Oh, we're on the Neeb cam. I'm like, what is this observer doing? What are you freaking out? Come on, like, have some production quality. People will never be able to follow things that fast. What a joke. It's not a joke. It's just the best player in America. Okay, okay, it's Neeb. Stop. A Stargate before Warp Gate. Usually used to really push that out early when you're not focusing on the gateway units, and there's no reason he needs to. All he needs to do is make sure there's no early, like, cyclone push coming across or anything like that. And, well, the Stargate kind of precludes most early pressure from the Terran. You have the tools between Oracles and Phoenixes to deal with everything but a straight bio push. So then it becomes, what happens next? You don't usually have a situation like the previous game where Oracles are base trading with a massive tank push. I doubt uThermal will commit to that again, despite having some initial success. Neeb, like, I can't stress how stressful that is. Like, how hard it is to do, like, make those decisions that Neeb made. And still keep it together and do all the things you need to do to win the game. It's not, I don't think uThermal played poorly. I don't think he made big mistakes. I just think Neeb was a step ahead and never gave up that lead. He's looking for the Oracle. If he snipes the Oracle, wait, is he looking for the... Well, the SCV finds it. He spots the Oracle. He's not looking for the Oracle. He's gonna walk around. I'm not even sure what that pylon is for. Is that for spotting, or the Cyclone will come out? Neeb could lose the Oracle. Oh, he will lose the Oracle. He's like, I want that. If I'm gonna take one with no, it's not gonna happen. Is he actually gonna be able to cancel a base with these like 6-8 Marines coming around? 7. You had one job. 7? What? I don't. uThermal breaking out the early clone push again, but he got an Oracle. He might get another one, to be honest. Oh, he locks it on. Boost! I don't know what noises my voice just made, but the Oracle can come in, maybe even slow down the turret. A little bit of miss micro out of Neeb here. This base is under fire. What other units? There are 3 Stalkers, 2 Adepts. That Cyclone going to make things real difficult for Neeb until he gets another warp in. The Marines can close the difference. 3 Marines not getting involved. Another Stalker warp in. The lock-ons, you got to be careful with those lock-ons. He gets an Adept, another Stalker. If that shield battery comes online, this is going to look a little different here. Another, and now here, back comes the Oracle. Kind of a confusing exchange, but uThermal picks up when he has just enough to fit in the medevac. I would call that a success for uThermal, assuming he doesn't lose all of his units and the medevac here, which is still a possibility. He's inspired to boost forward. So, he wanted the 3rd, or at least more of those units. Neeb lost 3 Stalkers, 2 Adepts. He's only killed Marines thus far. Now, this wasn't the cheapest thing to do early. And Neeb, now the big takeaway is that Neeb has a 3rd base done. He's got 57 workers and counting. That is the issue. Like, in terms of the damage the attack did itself, it was fine for uThermal. In terms of the state of the game now, not so great. Because Neeb is going to have a solid economy. He's adding on, going up to six gates, 2 forges, going to have a robotics bay. All he has to do is figure out what timing uThermal wants to hit, and he knows he's going to try to hit a timing because he doesn't have a 3rd command center. I'm actually a little... well, the double forge is fine, I guess, if you're that confident, but that is the one risk I think he's taking here, is by going double forge and Colossi and Twilight and extended thermal lance. Like, that leaves him potentially open to a strong tank push. And we've seen uThermal in his strong tank pushes. A 3rd command center starts, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be a push. We will see. Will he pull the boys? I know he's taking a 3rd, but pulling 10, 15 SCVs has always been on the table for Terran players. A scan. I think he spotted the army moving forward, and Neeb gonna play some offensive defense. Just try to keep this army at bay for as long as possible. Any upgrades? +1 for uThermal. He's got stim. He's got combat shield. He's about as strong as he's gonna get for now. That's the summary here. Oh, that Colossus is super. The boys! The boys are on the way! He could wait. Does he have stim? Yeah, he does. I'm surprised he didn't chase this down, but here come the boys. A small group of units will stim. Down goes one medevac. He can target down potentially the sentries. Where are the tanks? The tanks are not CG. Picks up one marine. Good luck with that. Neeb is pushed back to the 3rd. The boys will buffer. He decided he wanted to take that opportunity, but uThermal is being a little disjointed with this attack. Neeb, he maintains the Colossi. He's killed 18, 20 SCVs now. The rest of the boys, well, all the boys from the natural were pulled. A bunker coming up. That is still 2 tanks. There's still a nice spread here. +1 attack isn't finished yet for Neeb. He's got extended thermal lance, but the tanks will help zone out the Colossi. A drop is headed towards the natural. Is there enough to deal with it? This is an awkward situation as the stasis actually stops some of it. The flank is being chopped to pieces by the stim marines. The bunker's about to complete. Once again, Neeb is vulnerable to a tank push. But is there anything but the tanks here? That could be a huge issue. Big target fire coming through. A 3rd Colossus. Oh no, the drop! Gun down! And the rest of the reinforcements, no! There's just not enough. He's not gonna break him. He knows it. It's a G. G is Neeb. 4-1. That game probably the most dominant of all 5 of them. He brings it all the way home. And he's able to claim victory in Cheesadelphia 11. 3 wins in Cheesadelphia, showing how to defend, showing patience. There's a difference between playing defensive. There's a difference between playing defensive and playing passive. And I think Neeb demonstrated the difference there in most of those games. Defensive is, I'm going to sit back and build a lot of units. Or passive is, I'm going to sit back and build a lot of units. Where defensive is, I'm going to force you to siege up as many times as possible. I'm going to take swipes at you, going to make you stim, and by the time you get here, you're going to be at 2/3, half the strength you could have been if you just walked across the map. That game on Ephemeron, Neeb running circles around uThermal until the tanks and non-existent liberators got dizzy. Neeb showing why he's the best in America and defending the honor of America and North America against the invading Europeans in the form of uThermal. He takes it 4-1 this time. Thank you to Joe for putting on Cheesadelphia. Thank you to you guys for watching. If you enjoyed the cast, like and subscribe and slam a kappa in the chat and a comment about how Protoss is OP in the YouTube comments. So that way I can bitch about it on Twitter like Loco does. But thank you guys for watching. Good luck, have fun, and have an amazing day.